Welcome everyone to the urban farm classes for our fruit tree program, our fruit tree education program. I'm Janice Norton. I am coming to you from my friend Ray's house. You guys might know Ray. We are working together. We're working together to do the supply class tonight because I'm over at his house working on a project. So I am ready to teach the class. I would like to invite y'all to take advantage of the chat room and the Q&A. Please go ahead and put your questions at any time in the Q&A. I only have one screen tonight because I'm at Ray's house, and we will be answering the questions as they come through. So tell us where you're coming from. Where are you right now when you're watching this class? Put a little note in the comments. Tell us if you're from local to Phoenix or the greater Maricopa Valley, or are you coming into the class from out of state? This class will be recorded and it will be added to the root camp. And I want to introduce my co-host tonight. This is Ray Jess.
Hi, I'm Ray. I'm the general manager of the Urban Farm General Store. We also do mail order, so that's kind of cool too. So we ship almost all of the items that are in the general store. So it's really a pleasure to be here today with you.
I love working with you. Thank you. So yeah, we're together here doing the class. I don't have the headphones in, which is going to be interesting, but it might even be better. So the plan tonight is we're going to discuss what supplies we need with our fruit trees. And since we're working with the idea about supplies tonight and addressing the supplies issues, I have a question for those of you who are live tonight. Now that you hopefully have put in the comments where you're coming from, please let me know how many trees you've got and how long have you been following the urban farm method. So for those of you that are brand new, you just maybe have purchased, you haven't got it, you can just say, I'm brand new. But those of you who have been doing this for a year or two or five, let me know. It helps us identify where the questions might be. So with that, I'm going to stop the video and I'm going to share. Let's share first. All right, this is our class. Okay. I hope that is visible. So tonight's class is what supplies do I need for my fruit trees? And this has been updated for 2024 at the end of the year, December, and we're just going to take it little by little. So what does a basic fruit tree need when planting? Now, Greg and I have been teaching these classes for a little while. Raymond has been teaching this from the general store, and so that's where we're coming from our experience. Greg has decades and decades of teaching about growing fruit trees. So when he started creating this program, I came in and I've got about a decade of actually growing fruit trees and a little bit more than that with my chemistry background. So I brought my chemistry background into learning about the dynamics of how the soil works and what fruit trees need. Ray, what kind of experience do you have?
I brought into the program my master gardener experience, plus the years of experience that I've gained traveling around the world when I was in the military.
Yeah.
And learning from not just agricultural farmers, but residential farmers in various countries. Very different from what we do, but their climate is also different. So that made a lot of sense.
And and I really love the idea that the experiences around the world are so common in so many ways. If we find out what the commonality is and why different things work in different areas at different times, then you start understanding the science behind it. So bringing all of that into the program is what we do.
That's absolutely true. One of the commonalities that is really interesting to me is organic fertilizer.
Yeah.
Worldwide, that is the standard.
It really is. And I have been learning more and more about that through my studies, because I haven't been traveling that much. But the research that I've done and the conversations that I've done with people who have traveled and the science behind the organic style of gardening that's been the foundation of where I began my fruit tree education. All right, so let's start with fruit trees. What does a fruit tree need when you're planting it? Well, obviously, we're going to be working with a tree that needs to go into the ground or a pot. So we're going to want some good planting mix. And here in the desert, we're talking to most of us here that live in the Phoenix area. We know that our soil is not very healthy. It is lacking in so many nutrients and organic life.
Actually, not always true.
It's got the minerals.
It does, but they're locked up with the pH.
Bingo. There's a chemistry issue, there is a life issue, and if you're looking out at some of the newer houses that are expanding out into the further reaches of the valley, you're working with some dead soil. So we need to work it over. So we're going to need to add some planting mix into a soil. By starting with planting mix, you are starting with a foundation that you can start having confidence in as you build out. Starter amendments, tell us a little bit about that. We're going to go into it further a little bit later.
Well, yeah, the starter amendments in general, we have them in single trees, which is 2 pounds of azomite, which is the multivitamin for any plant that's growing, 2 ounces of mycorrhiza, which is a beneficial fungus, and 2 pounds of worm castings, which are, well, they're like a fertilizer. They're nature's gold, but we can't call it a fertilizer because there's no guaranteed numbers for NPK. But we have that in single tree for 1 tree, and then we have it also for 3 trees. So that'd be 6 pounds, 6 pounds, and 6 ounces.
Okay, so starter amendments are the elements that we're adding into our planting mix that can help start the nutrition and the bioorganism life that we need in our soil. With the myco and the worm castings giving the boost for your bioorganisms and the azomite giving your minerals. Organic fertilizer is a boost of the NPK that we need. This is the nitrogen, the phosphorus, the potassium, not in that order. And then and this is what we need. Now, we've talked about this. We already started this. Organic fertilizer is going to be the best tool for feeding your fruit trees. Organic fertilizer doesn't start with a salt-based foundation, and it will allow your trees to have basically a little smorgasbord of food to be eating over time because it's a slow release. Organic fertilizer is always a slow release.
That's true.
We're also going to say top your planting with some woody mulch. This is what we're talking about when we start introducing Greg's 6-6 basin. The top 6 inches of the basin can be protected and fed or the soil being additionally built up by adding a layer of woody mulch. And by layer, we mean a good 6 inches. You have possibly seen basins in some of the locations around the valley where people have either rocks or something like that, and those trees are struggling. But if you see the trees that have a basin of wood chips around it, those are going to be healthier. You know, I just did some traveling in Oklahoma and went to a place out there that had a slew of probably 25 or 50 trees, and they all had a gorgeous 6-foot basin with 6 to 8 inches of woody mulch. It was fabulous.
Sweet.
So we're not the only ones that are teaching this. We're not the only ones that are doing this.
No, but the benefits of the mulch are just, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I mean, as they break down, they feed the soil. They make new soil. It's great.
And then what do we say to the next thing you need? We're going to have you level up or do the next level to help your tree start with the secret sauce or root soak, and I will go into that a little bit later. So this is the basic needs of the fruit trees. And the next page, let's talk about your soil or planting mix per tree. Now, for your 5-gallon trees, which are your standard potted citrus that we have available in September, you're going to need about 2 cubic feet or just a little more than 1 bag, because 1 bag is about 1.5 cubic feet from normal soil bags. The ones that we carry are Greg's planting mix. Beautiful for trees. For bare root or the 15-gallon trees, you're going to need about 3 cubic feet or 2 bags for your bare root tree. This is because when you create your 2-foot by 2-foot square hole to be able to make room for your tree, you have already some soil in there that you're going to want to mix with the new soil, and that will get you started into the zone of growing. There's a lot more about how to do this in our planting, watering, and fertilizing class, and we're going to try and stick to just the ingredients and the quantities for this class.
You know, one of the interesting things is I work for a nursery as well,
Mhm.
another nursery. And when I talk to people about the square hole idea,
Mhm.
it is such a novel concept to them till I explain to them why we want that square hole. You know, in a round hole, it's just like putting a tree into a pot and expecting it to survive. And what happens is the roots will circle around and sooner or later we call it girdling
Or
and
root bound, yeah.
or root bound and it will pass. But with that square hole, the roots have a corner to penetrate
Mhm.
and go out from there. And people are just blown away by the idea. So people who come to the urban farm classes and learn about this, they have a leg up on most people that are planting trees anywhere.
True. All right. So this is the first set of ingredients that we need, is just some planting mix. We do recommend Farmer Greg's planting mix. We do have that as a buy 3, get 1 free on the website. You've got something else, so don't add up that into your cart just yet. Starter amendments, we talked about that. Ray described that as the 2 pounds of worm castings, 2 pounds of azomite, and 2 ounces of myco. Don't hurt yourself trying to say the word, but it's mycorrhiza. And if you look on our cart in our shopping store at store.urbanfarm.org or urbanfarm.org/store, you can find this with the 3 trees version is the multi-tree starter amendments, or the 1 tree is the single tree. Not too complicated. I just had to come up with something that described what we were offering, and then I had to design my logo. So what do you think about my logo? So yeah. This is your starter amendments. This is not your fertilizer. This is the other ingredients. And fertilizer. So fertilizer is essential. You are going to need to continue giving your fruit trees fertilizer year round. You're going to want to do it 4 times a year. If you are planting a new tree, you're going to kick it off with some fertilizer in the hole. I'm confident saying that because I'm telling you to put organic fertilizer in the hole. You would never do this with an inorganic fertilizer because you could hurt your roots. So with an organic fertilizer, you want 2 pounds mixed in with the soil when you plant your trees. Then we have 2 products to choose from. We have a 50-pound bag, which works out to be about $2.40 per tree for that initial batch, or the 10-pound bag, which works out to be about $4 a tree. Now, why would you want the more expensive bag? If you only got 2 or 3 trees, then you don't need 50 pounds of it sitting around. If you got 5 or more trees, it's definitely going to be beneficial to save to yourself to do the 50-pound bag. Unless you got bad shoulders, then you might want just a bunch of 10-pound bags. There's some options there, and we will work with you on this. Mulch. Your turn.
Mulch. Oh my God, mulch.
We're just telling them how much they need.
You know, there are a lot of people that say, well, it's just a small tree, so all I need is just a couple of feet of diameter for the mulch basin. But the problem is the radiated heat that comes from the surrounding area. So the greater the diameter of the basin, the more protection your young trees have. So that's why we talk about 6 feet in diameter or a 3 foot radius around the trunk of the tree and 6 inches deep. And, mulch has so many benefits. First off, it will mitigate moisture loss. It'll mitigate heat gain for the roots because you will find that it keeps your soil roughly about 20 degrees cooler than the surrounding area. It prevents weeds because the weed seeds can't get through. And as it breaks down, it makes an improvement into the soil, just like it would in the forest. Um, you think about any forest is self-sustaining, and it's because of all the litter that the trees produce, break down on the forest floor and fertilize the trees. So
Right.
it works out beautifully.
So how much? You're gonna need 6 inches deep in a 6 foot basin. That works out to be 14 cubic feet or half a cubic yard per tree. Now, that's a lot more than 4 bags, but we don't think it's reasonable to load you up with more mulch than you can carry home. So we're gonna say start safely with 4 bags of mulch per tree. That's gonna give you about 8 cubic feet. Then you can come back again for another 6 cubic feet at your convenience. But an 8 cubic feet is going to get you started when you're taking care of your basin. And it's pretty to see it grow out and do that. Now, again, he said 3 foot radius. That is 3 feet coming out from the trunk itself, just to get started, because what you're going to be doing is you're creating this basin that is going to allow where the edge of the leaves go, that's where your roots are. So the further out from the trunk you can go, if you're going out as far as the leaves, then you're going to have a much healthier root zone underneath.
One of the interesting things, excuse me, is that as your tree grows, so should that diameter of the basin,
Mm-hmm.
because you really want the mulch at the drip line of the tree, because that's where the feeder roots are as well.
Yeah.
So that's something to keep in mind.
Yeah. All right, so if you are putting questions in the comments or putting them in the chat room, we will be getting to that. I only have one monitor today because Raymond doesn't believe in 2 monitors. And I'll be taking care of that after we do the presentation. Okay, so customized soil bundles. Basically what we've done is we've made a one-stop shopping aspect on our fruit tree program. You can choose a basic tree planting bundle. And on our cart, you can click on one of those and it will give you 1, 2, or 3 trees. You can choose it. It'll give you exactly what you need. It'll take care of the soil, the mulch, the amendments, and the organic fertilizer. And it does not have 1, 2, 3. Don't worry, if you look at it on the cart, it makes sense.
Okay.
It'll make sense. Okay. Now, what does a fruit tree need for yearly care? We took care of planting. Now we're going to go into yearly care to help you plan what you've got. And if you want to do a one-stop shopping, you can do that. If you want to come back a second time to get the rest of the stuff, you can do that too, whatever works best for you. So you're going to need, for yearly care, you're going to need organic fertilizer, some more amendments, some more woody mulch, and we really encourage you to do drench and foliar feeding. If you don't, your trees have a pretty good chance of surviving, but if you do, then your trees will thrive and you will see some really great results. So organic fertilizer on a yearly basis. What we're talking now is 1 pound of organic fertilizer, either version that we have, or 2.5 cups for each inch wide that the trunk is. So the trunk diameter is 2 inches, then you're gonna need 2 pounds of fertilizer for each serving. And that happens 4 times a year. So 4 times a year, you will be giving a 1 pound for every inch wide that your trunk is. Now, in order to do some quick math, you go out, you look at your trees, and if you have 5 trees and they're all 2 inches, then you have 10 inches. If you have, a couple trees at 2 inches, then one tree at 1 inch, then you've got 5 inches. Then you can do your math that way. So 1 pound per inch of trunk diameter. And again, this is where you do your 50-pound bag if you've got like 5 or more trees, or your 10-pound bag if you've got 4 or less.
So we're going to talk about the intervals of feeding the fertilizer.
Go ahead.
Normally we talk about fertilizing 4 times a year, which would be Valentine's Day, Tax Day, Labor Day, and Memorial Day. And it works out beautifully that way, unless you put your tree in a pot, and then you need to fertilize about 6 times a year, because if it's
faster.
in a pot, you're washing nutrients away every time you water.
Yeah. If you do have items in a pot, there will be some additional considerations. And you can come talk to Greg or Ray or myself on the lot, and we'll sit and talk to you about it. It gets a little bit more nuanced with that, and we can help you, although we're going to encourage you to put it in the ground. So that's why the class is about in the ground. But we can definitely help you. Now, as we were talking about helping, on the lot, we have our new table, the calculator table, the supply calculator table, where we have Angela, who will sit down and she will help you calculate exactly what quantities you need. If this class is not enough, or if you need to just kind of want to go over it again, Angela will be on the lot to help you. So let's talk about our secret sauce or root soak. Now, what we're talking about here is the High Creations line of nutrient liquid concentrates. These are fabulous. Ray and I started this after they showed up at our lot several years ago and said, hey, you got to try it. And Greg was busy and handed it to me and said, you try it. So Ray and I started trying it, and we did our own research. And before we started promoting it, we watched it work. So after using it as these products as foliar feeds, then we worked with them and started using the drench. And then after talking to them, we realized we needed something during the planting. And what we have now is 2 versions of preparing your trees during planting. Now, the secret sauce is what we recommend for potted trees or potted plants. And this is basically making up a solution, and you're going to put it in the hole before you plant, and to moisten the hole before you put the new soil in with this secret sauce. The root soak is the rehydration bath that you're going to put your bare root trees in, so that your bare root trees can get their moisture back into the roots before you put them into the ground.
But
And
not only does it give them, excuse me, the moisture back into it, but it's bringing in all those nutrients that the tree roots are just saying to themselves, oh, this is what good life feels like.
right.
So yeah.
Now, the really, really awesome thing about this, and we are really super excited about this, is the propensity of doing this and how it impacts in the contraindication of root shock. So when you do when you transplant a tree out of a pot or from bare root into the ground, every tree has some version of root transplant shock that it's going to go through. And we want to minimize that as much as possible. And by doing this, you're giving them the vitamins, the nutrients, the beneficial boost that it needs to help them get into the new zone without struggling from the transplant shock.
Yeah, one of the interesting things about that is for years and years, people said, oh, give it just fish emulsion or vitamin B1, and that would be good enough. And with the changing climates, excuse me, it really isn't enough. And that's why the High Creations root soak is such an amazing benefit to a brand new tree going into the ground.
Right. Now you can find this combo of all four products in the Urban Farm store. We do have the best deal in town because we offer our buy three, get one free on it. We're gonna be a little patting ourselves on the shoulder for that one. But if you are shopping in our cart, you can either look up the liquid combo or you can type in secret sauce or root soak. And the recipe for the secret sauce, the recipe for the root soak is there in our store in the description below for the liquid combo. So the liquid combo name now has secret sauce and root soak in it, so you can find all of it at the same place.
Nice.
And that works out to be about $1.90 investment into each tree for the planting. And then after you've done that and your tree is planted, you can use the exact same products for your drench and foliar applications. The instructions for that can be found through our nutrition calendar, which is online free in the root camp,
Yep.
but it's also available in a laminated version. If you want to keep it handy, then you can pick up that in the cart as well.
One of the benefits of that is one side is for trees.
Uh-huh.
Flip it over, and you can use the same products for your garden with just a different quantity.
Because it's doing the same thing. You are feeding the roots or you're feeding your plants through the leaves. And all you need is a little bit difference in the timing and a little bit difference in the quantities. And it's still going to do the same thing because they're all plants.
You know, one of the things that makes this so important is these products feed the soil. And if you have good, happy,
your drench,
healthy
yes.
soil, you're going to have good, healthy, happy plants in general.
Yes. Now, foliar is feeding the leaves and the branches and the trunk. Because the leaves are the quickest way for the trees and the plants to soak up nutrients. And so the foliar is going to be a light spray mist of these products. Drenching is applying it to the soil and you're using the same products. So what you've invested in for your secret sauce or your root soak, you'll be able to continue using the rest of the year. Now, amendments, ongoing process, you will be wanting to add more worm castings, and you're going to add that about a pound per tree, per tree inch, about 4 times a year, same time as your granular fertilizer. And azomite, you'll need about a pound twice a year. You don't need it quite as often. We used to say more, but we've realized we don't need it as much.
Yeah, it's a rock mineral, so it breaks down a little slower.
Yeah. And we have those in different sizes on the cart as well. Now, I want to go back to that. One of the things that is not in the amendments is mycorrhiza. You do not need to keep adding myco unless your tree is in some sort of stressful situation or there has been some sort of bad situation happening there. So if a tree's been neglected for a while, then yeah, you can put some myco in there. If you have a shock and it's not doing well, you might add some myco, but that's not an everyday thing. It's not multiple times a year.
And when you add it into the soil and then water it down because it has to attach to a live root.
Right.
Because they have a symbiotic relationship.
Yeah. Now, after you've done everything else and you want to keep adding your mulch, you can keep doing that. And this is an ongoing process. You're going to keep adding mulch more and more and more. One of the people that found out about mulch from Greg many years ago was Jake Mace. And Jake Mace, who used to have a gardening class and gardening, he used to garden here in the valley. He now teaches from out of the country. He went into his backyard and he didn't put down 6 inches. He put down like 2 feet around his whole backyard, and he had the most transformative backyard transformation that we've seen. And so I kind of emulated that a little bit. I didn't do 2 feet, but I did do the whole yard. I
Oh, yeah.
definitely think this is a good investment
So
for your
did I.
yard.
You know, it just makes good sense to me.
Yeah, it just took a little while to get you there, but we did. We got you there. It does. And when you have wood mulch in your yard, in your space, your water is going to be retained into your soil so much more effectively. Your dust is going to be cut down. Whew, I can tell you dust will be cut down, and it's just wonderful. So update your basins. What is this? Now, if you have a basin that you have maybe neglected for a little while and might need a little boost, you can do this really quickly with a one click. You can order a basin repair bundle. And that includes 4 bags of soil to just, you pull back your woody mulch, you throw down some soil down and to give it a nice new basin. You can put on top of that, or you can mix in with that your amendments, which is one multi-tree bundle. That is your worm castings, your azomite, and Michael, thank you. And throw down some organic fertilizer. You have that as an option. And then on top of that, you're going to put your woody mulch. This is just a quick repair to your bundle, to your basin, to get you started for your next season. If you have questions about this, Greg does have a basin repair bundle video that will go through the steps with you. What else do you need? Now that we've talked about the essentials, what are some other steps?
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. You know, one of the things that we always talk about are people who either over or under love their trees.
I love that you said love.
And so, you know, the first question that I always ask is, what is your watering schedule and how long are you watering? And one of the things that can help with that is when you make that determination using a moisture meter, because the moisture meter will tell you how often you need to do your watering.
Or more specifically, when it is time to water. The moisture meter tells you when.
And then the soil probe, which is a phenomenal tool, it's marked off in 1, 2, and 3 feet increments. And that will tell you how deep you are watering, which is essential.
Did you water enough? So we do have more on the moisture meter and the soil probe in the planting, watering, and fertilizing class. But those are 2 things that we recommend. We also recommend tree wrap or BTP. Now, I'm going to go into BTP in a minute, but what tree wrap and BTP are is protection for the trunk. And I do see that people are putting some comments in chat's room, and we'll get to those. Now, BTP is biodynamic.
Yeah. Well, then why isn't there a D instead of a T?
Biodynamic tree paste.
Okay.
Now, biodynamic tree paste is not something that we offer. It is something that we highly recommend. We just can't bring it in at a price that we can still be able to offer it at reasonable cost to you guys. So we're not going to do the markup and make it cost prohibitive for you. It is our favorite way to protect the tree trunks. It is the most beneficial way to protect your tree trunk. It just gets a little bit pricey.
You know, a lot of people are just using the tree paint, which is, you know, I don't recommend that because it's a chemical.
Yeah, it is. We don't recommend tree paint. Now, tree paint you can find at most any garden store or hardware store. It is just a basic tree paint. Some of them actually have unhealthy chemicals in it, even though it says tree paint. Biodynamic tree paste is a specific formula that is bioactive and has a lot of beneficials. There is a 3-in-1 that you can find at that special.
Is it offered on Amazon?
I wasn't gonna say the name, but it is, there's a 3-in-1 stuff that is offered on that place that everybody shops at, or almost everybody shops at. Now, tree wrap can protect your trunks as well. and it's very cost effective. I mean, it's a minimal cost. So a one roll of tree wrap costs $5, and you can probably cover about 3 to 8 trees, depending on how big your trees are. You'll need a pruner, and the pruner that we recommend is called a
Bypass
pruner, because the blades will pass each other by to be able to make the cut, much like a pair of scissors. So definitely a bypass pruner. Do not get an anvil pruner, which is the one where the one blade comes down and hits the base, which effectively can crush your branch. We don't want that. We want the bypass pruner. Now, gopher baskets, those are items that we recommend for anybody who has an area that definitely already has gophers. They're very easy to use when you're putting in a potted plant. They're a little tricky for a bare root, but if you have any concerns about gopher baskets, you can talk to us at the lot and we will help you pick the right one.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Now, what else is helpful to have? What's a tree sling, Greg? Ray?
I'm the other guy. You know, tree slings are so amazingly wonderful for young, thin trunked trees, because the thin trunk trees don't have the ability to stand up on their own without some kind of support. And what happens with the tree sling is you position it on either side, you know, a rod on either side or a pole, and then you wrap the tree sling around each one, and they meet in the middle around the tree trunk, and they give it the opportunity to move with the wind and build up the strength within the core of the tree trunk itself.
Yeah, build the core. Now, most of the bare root trees do not have much of a need for this because they've already been able to gather their core strength. You'll need tree slings more often for potted plants like some of the citrus.
Yeah, definitely for citrus.
Yeah. A sprayer mod kit is a really cool tool that you can hook onto the end of your pump sprayer. We had one of our guys, Glenn, show us this cool thing. We've invested in a slew of the pieces so we can buy them in a cost effective ratio, because we buy them in bulk, and we put it together for you. And it's just a way to apply your foliar. It
has 7 different spray patterns on
right?
it. You spray, it takes so much less time than if you had that little tiny wand and you're trying to spray everything and you're out there for like half hour, 45 minutes to do, you know, 4 or 5 trees. But with the sprayer mod, you can adjust whatever the spray pattern is, and you still have that spray pump, and it just takes minutes. It's so much more effective.
Yeah. Now, those of you who've had your tree around for a while, you can pick out an easy pick and fruit harvester. This is a little tool that hooks onto the end of a pole, and it has a nice chute. So you reach up there, grab your high fruit, and it slides gently down the chute to allow you to harvest your fruit, and you don't have to keep emptying your bag. I got one of those.
That is so cool. I love mine. Oh my goodness.
It's so much easier and it's fun. It's like pop, 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 pop.
It is, you know, it was before I had the easy pickings. I had the standard.
Right.
I could pick maybe 2, maybe 3 oranges, and then I have to bring the pole down, empty it into the bag, go back and do it again. With the easy pickings, that is not the case.
I know. If you have any questions about that, we have a great podcast on the Urban Farm Podcast that talks about this, because we interviewed one of the guys that runs the company that sells those. Pretty cool. Let me tell you the origin. So, do you need help? What do? We offer ourselves. Now, Greg has been doing this for years. He's been doing consults, and they are phenomenal. And he talked us into doing it. Ray and I do it occasionally, depending on our schedule, when we're not doing other stuff with the running the farm and
life
and Great American Setup. But you can get some help. You can do that with urbanfarm.org/consult, and you can sign up for consult. There was a lady, Susan, who had one, and she said that if she had done it once, she would have saved more than what she had lost in her planting. She'd done it beforehand. So let's see. Now, our deciduous program is running right now. It's been live since 1999. And the pop-up nursery will be available for picking up the trees that you order. We open in January. I'm hoping that we'll be open around the 9th or 10th or 11th. And that's what I'm planning on. And you can start picking up your deciduous trees. And also the desert native trees. You can place your orders now for those trees, and we are coming up with a special, but this is what we have.
Well, yeah, one of the cool things about that is not only do we have the bare root trees, but we have the 4x4x9 berries and what have
Berries
you.
and the bushes and the vines. We've got the
Yeah.
grapes and the figs and the olives and the pomegranates. And yeah, that's fun. We do have a citrus program that started in 2004. That's already passed, but you will just like to know to plan for next time. These are the citrus trees that we will be bringing back in for pickup in late September, early October. So what are you gonna do? This is how you move on to the next step. Go ahead.
I'm good with Root Camp. Oh my gosh, there is so much information in Root Camp that I am so glad that it is online because you'll want to go back and reread. You know, you'll read it through the first time. You can take breaks because it is online, and you go ahead and take care of it, and then you come back and say, well, man, I think I have a question about that, and then you go back through the Root Camp again, find the answer. And you can keep doing that and over because there is so much information in there. There's like, what, 90 some videos?
That's a lot.
Oh my goodness, it is a plethora of information.
Well, we're glad that you're here tonight to take the live class. What Ray and I were just talking about a while ago about when he gets to get stuff done and when I get to get stuff done. It's not at the same time very often. So that's one of the nice things about Root Camp is it's available at your own schedule. Once you've kind of done your research, you can place your pre-order at urbanfarm.org/store, and that's where you can get your supplies. If you have the small stuff, you can pick that up year round through picking a local pickup option. And if the citrus trees are available in September, the deciduous trees are available in January. And you can learn more about our program at fruittrees.org. So there we go. This is our continuing education. That is the core strength of the urban farm is our education and resources. So I am going to step out of this, if I can find the mouse. I lost the mouse, Ray. Oh, there it is. All right. I am going to stop the sharing and come back to us, and we're going to see what questions we have. Okay, we have a few comments and one question right now. Oh, Jamie says they're from Phoenix. So the questions, how to reach Angela? Is that what your question was, Deborah? I'm going to go back up at this top. Let's see. Good. Lots of local people, 2 years. Tom's from Glendale, the neighbor that I used to live near, 10 years, started 5 years ago. Nice. How to reach Angela. Okay, the way that Angela works is that she will have a table at the Urban Farm Fruit Tree Program. We've set her up there so that she can just stand there and be ready to answer questions and do the calculations. She's not available any other time, but if you have any questions about what supplies you need, you can email fruittree, singular, at urbanfarm.org. So that's fruittree@urbanfarm.org. Both Greg and I manage that email, and we will be able to help you. If you need a consult, you can do urbanfarm.org/consult, and we can help you calculate that as well. And Ray is also available, ray@urbanfarm.org. Tammy's in the house. I didn't even see you pop in. Hello, Tammy. Deborah, can this be sent to Florida? Deborah, please explain what this is, because I didn't see what time you put that question. Some of the items that are in our cart, we can ship to Florida, some of our general store items. Nope, no, we will not ship 50-pound bags of fertilizer.
No.
And we won't ship 44-pound bags of azomite, but some of the other stuff we can ship. So if it is 10 pounds or less, then we'll go ahead and put that in a box and ship it. I guess that's the easiest way to put it, as long as it's not a plant. All right. So I think, unless you guys have questions, I think we covered it all.
It's been a good evening.
It's been a
I
good
I
evening.
really hope there were more questions because we have a whole lot more information to
We
give.
always do. Now, I have been doing some updates on the website to make it a little bit, hopefully, a little bit easier to understand. One of the things I'm in the process of updating right now is when and where to pick up. Trying to add that to the different items in the store to make sure that that comes across clear. And yeah, Greg asked a question the other day and I'm like, well, it's on the website. And he goes, no, it's not. I'm like, I'll put it on the website. Um, all right. I think that's it, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Oh, we got some questions. How do you apply the bioflora granules? Take it away, Ray.
Well, I'm a lazy person when it comes to that. I use the spot shot shovel.
What's
And
a
whether
spot shovel?
it's narrow, maybe 8 inches in width, and probably, I don't know, about 14 to 18 inches in length. And I put that in the soil out at the drip line at a very shallow angle, and I lift it up, and I have my
Nobody can see your hands.
Oh, sorry, I lift it up, and it creates this divot in here. And I take my fertilizer because it's already pre-measured. I take it from the bucket. I put it in. I put back down the
mulch.
mulch, yeah. And then I do that multiple places around the tree, and then go ahead and water it in.
Yeah, so depending on how young your tree is, how old your tree is, you are gonna want to kind of put anywhere from 3 to 8 holes around the tree in the drip line. I would start with 2 to 3 holes around the tree to divide your fertilizer and your amendments up, and that way it'll go into good spaces because you're hitting the drip line. That's
Yeah.
where you want it to be.
True. And I'm, like you say, I'm lazy, so I don't like moving back the mulch and digging little holes and putting stuff in and putting that back and putting that on top. That's why the shallow angle lift, throw in, put down, and go to the next one.
I love asking him this question. We're gonna have all the holes. Okay.
I'm not Italian, but I do speak with my hands, so.
Donald asks, do I pre-order my supplies? You can do it both ways. For us, if you pre-order your supplies, we can make sure we have enough to cover everyone. If you forget something, then we can take care of it at the lot. The way it works is, oh, here I go with my hands. The way it works is I will have the orders pre-printed so that when you show up to pick up your trees, the Tammy will be sitting out front with the check-in table, and she will have the papers that say what it is. And our tree crew can help gather your order. But if you didn't get everything that you needed, if you want to get a couple extra items or you have some questions, that is your time to be able to go talk to Ray, to talk to Greg if he's there, to talk to me if I'm available. And well, anybody, we've got like 5 or 6 of us that are able to answer questions now. And you can do that while your order is being gathered to grab anything else. So yes, pre-ordering helps, especially if you have a good idea of what you want. Then you can put it together and put it in there, and then you can just get the last minute things when you're there.
Absolutely.
And if you have more items in your order than your car will fit, we can split your order so that you can take it in a couple different trips. Oh, and speaking of which, your car, we will help get your items into your car. We are a full service to the curb personal crew. Guess what I call my tree crew this year? We have a new name.
Uh-oh.
Have you guys heard of woofers? Woofers are willing workers on organic farms. Well, we have woofties, willing workers organizing our fruit trees. So
I had to ask about that because that was a new one on me as well.
Of course it is. It is weeded up. So the woofties will be there to help you. Tammy, you ready to be a wooftie? I'm gonna have to find t-shirts.
Oh, that'd be funny.
Donald says, if the website works, we did have a little bit of a glitch before we gave up. We tried to transition into, believe it or not, Square. which did not work at all. That was so much of an effort and energy and a waste of time, but now we're back to our old cart and it is set up to work. So Jamie just said that they're from Phoenix, so that one, its question is done. Barry asked about the bioflora. We answered that question. Donald wanted to pre-order supplies. We got that one and that one. So let's see. Sharpshooter shovel. Tom
That's
is
it.
recognizing the sharpshooter shovel. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. All right, folks, thank you for joining us. This is Tuesday, December 10th. When we recorded this, we're going to go ahead and let Greg do his magic and put this into the root camp. And if you have any questions, you can. The appointment schedule for the picking up of your trees will be opening in the next week so that you can start picking your appointments for picking up your deciduous trees.
That was
And
a beautiful idea.
yeah, thank you, Heidi. Thank you, Heidi. So yeah, the appointments will be opening in probably the next week with the protective on the first end. We don't know exactly what day we're going to start, but we're going to give it a good shot. So, woofty. WWOOFT. Woofty. That's right. All right, if you need anything, we're here, urbanfarm.org. And
Thank you for joining us tonight. This is fun.
fruit trees at urbanfarm.org. Raymond, thank you for helping me teach the class tonight.
It's always fun to work with you.
There we go. All right, look at the message. Let's see. Thank you. Thank you, Deborah. And reach out to us if you need us. Other than that, we're going to call it a night.